Today, we're diving deep into the story of one of history's most brutal and honestly most paradoxical conquerors. He was a man whose name brought both terror and wonder. This is the story of Timur, better known as the Butcher of Delhi. So let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of a king who built towers from the bones of 100,000 of his enemies? No, that's not a fantasy novel. It's the chilling reality of the man we're talking about today. So let's meet the man himself, Amir Taimur, or as he was known in the West, Tamerlane. He gave himself the title Sword of Islam, a name he would carve across Asia with a ferocity that is, frankly, hard to even imagine. You see, Timur didn't see himself as some barbarian. He crafted this image of a regal leader, a successor to the great Genghis Khan, here to restore the Mongol Empire to its former glory. But behind that image, wow, there's a story of almost unimaginable bloodshed. So who was this guy really? Well, he was a total paradox, a military genius who was never, ever defeated in battle, a huge patron of the arts who kicked off what's known as the Timurid Renaissance. And yet, his campaigns are blamed for the deaths of around 17 million people. That's 5% of the entire world's population at the time. Just let that number sink in. So in the year 1398, Timur turns his gaze towards the prize of India. His target? The absolute jewel of the subcontinent, the fabulously wealthy city of Delhi. And you might be asking, why Delhi? Well, the timing was just perfect for a predator like Timur. The ruling dynasty there was basically falling apart, weakened by a nasty civil war. So for a conqueror, Delhi's legendary riches were just sitting there, a tempting prize right for the taking. Now, officially, Timur sold this invasion as a holy war. He claimed the Sultan of Delhi was being way too lenient with his Hindu subjects. But let's be real. Historical records make it pretty clear what his real motive was. Plunder. Cold, hard cash and treasure. Religion was just the excuse he needed to make it all seem legitimate. And this brings us to the main event, the Battle for Delhi. And trust me, this wasn't just any battle. It was a crazy clash of giant war elephants against pure, diabolical ingenuity. Okay, so the Sultan's secret weapon, his trump card, was his army of war elephants. I want you to picture this. Huge, massive beasts, covered head to toe in chainmail, with poison supposedly smeared on their tusks. For Timur's cavalry, who'd never seen anything like it, this must have looked like something from a nightmare. So how on earth do you fight that? How could Timur's horsemen possibly go up against these living, breathing tanks? This is where Timur's cruel genius really comes into play. He knew that for all their size, elephants are actually startled pretty easily, so he came up with this horrific plan. He had his men load up camels with wood and hay, set the bundles on fire, and then force the screaming, burning animals to charge right at the elephants. As you can imagine, the war elephants completely panicked. They turned around and stampeded, trampling their own soldiers in total chaos. With the Sultan's army totally crushed, the gates of Delhi swung open. And what happened next wasn't a conquest, it was pure annihilation. In the year 1398, when Timur entered the city, it said that rivers of blood literally flowed through the streets. And get this, the horror started before the main battle even kicked off. Timur had already captured about 100,000 prisoners. Fearing they might rise up against him during the fight, he gave the order to execute every single one of them. A systematic slaughter on a scale that's just mind-boggling. And this wasn't some one-off act of rage, oh no. This was his signature move, his calling card. In Baghdad, he'd already built 120 towers from 90,000 severed heads. This was a deliberate strategy of terror he used everywhere he went. Listen to how one person who was actually there described the scene in Delhi. He wrote that the city reeked of the decomposing bodies of its citizens, with their heads being erected like structures, and the bodies left as food for the birds. Just a pure vision of hell. Now, if you read the official histories, the ones written by Timur's own chroniclers, you'd think this was an easy, swift victory. But that is not the whole story, not even close. There's another side to this, a history of incredible resistance that's been buried for centuries. I mean, was it really that simple? Did everyone just surrender in the face of all this terror? Well, according to local legends and oral traditions, the answer is a big, resounding no. You see, these traditions passed down for generations,
They tell of a massive volunteer army that rose up to fight Timur. And what's absolutely incredible is that this army supposedly included a 40,000-strong, all-female regiment. Their leader, a fearless warrior named Rampiari Gurjar. They fought back hard and inflicted heavy losses on Timur's forces, a little detail that was, shall we say, conveniently left out of his official records.
So this all leaves us with the central question, the big paradox of Timur. How are we supposed to remember him? How do you reconcile the man who built pyramids of skulls with the man who built one of the world's most beautiful cities?
Because these are the two faces of Timur, right? On one hand, you have the butcher, the man responsible for 17 million deaths. But on the other hand, you have the builder, a patron of the arts, who turned his capital, Samarkand, into an absolute wonder of the world. And get this, he often did it using the very artisans he captured from the cities he just destroyed. In the end, it's clear. Timur didn't just change the history of Delhi, he completely altered the course of world history. His impact, for good and for ill, was absolutely massive, and we still feel its echoes today. So, whose story should we dive into next? Let us know who you want to hear about in the comments below.